Hey, yo, it's your boy Sam Duke.
It's your man, Tim McHale.
It's your boy Warren P.
And you are listening to another great episode of You Good,
bruh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being with us today. I guess Happy New Year since it's a new year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Yes,
happy New Year. Starting off wild, but it's here.
It's starting off wild to go ahead and before we start, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe. It's You Good Bro Podcast at You Good Bro Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, You Good Bro Pod on Twitter. Please like, share, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, you leave us comments. Let us know what you think. We appreciate everything that you guys bring to what we are doing here. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Including show ideas. If you got some topics you want us to cover or go live with, and you can come on the live with us.
Exactly.
Don't forget to ask McHale too.
Yeah. We have several different ways for you guys to interact with us. They're just asking that you guys do when you get the opportunity. Please. No effort is too big, no effort is too small. Yeah. All right, fellas. Today we're having a conversation that I wouldn't say it's counter to what we've done in the past. I just think it's the other side of the coin. Okay. We've had several conversations on this podcast about masculinity. Have several conversations on this podcast about what it means for a man to express his feelings, express his emotions, what it means to be a whole man, what it means to
a whole man.
A whole man.
Yeah. It sounded like a whole man at first.
Oh, not a whole man.
We did have a whole man.
We did have a whole man episode, but that's I meant whole man. Okay. Yes. And also kind of pushing the envelope a little bit sometimes to get guys to be a little more different than what people would consider conventional guys to be back in the day. However, I think there's been a movement from men where we've moved, and I'm not saying this is every man or everywhere. I'm not trying to be painting with a wide brush, but I do feel as if there have been instances in the recent future when I'm seeing examples of men not being manly. And we're not talking about in the sense of, usually when we have those conversations, we're talking about a man versus, sexuality. You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about men not being manly, you think about the
like flaming.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the essence of manhood, and I think that, it's time for us to ask ourselves, have we taken the okay, man, it's time for you to open up and be, it's okay to be a softer version of yourself or whatever it may be, a little too far? Have we put it in a position where men are not showing up in the way that you would like men to show up in society? So, and I'm just going to tell you guys, there's two videos that sparked this conversation for me. And I want to share this with y'all because I don't think y'all have seen them. And I think that it'll give you guys some perspective as to what I'm talking about. Okay. And we can discuss how we got here and what the fuck we need to do to
right the ship.
To right the ship a little bit. All right. So first and foremost, it's my boy. It's my boy Ryan Davis. I think that he's one of the funniest guys out there, but I think it was pretty serious when he put this particular video out. So let's hear my man out.
I'm pro toxic masculinity because toxic masculinity is still better than no masculinity at all. And a lot of men in today's society is exhibiting a level of bitch ass nigga that I have never seen in my life. And when a man does not exhibit any masculinity whatsoever, he becomes more of a danger to society than a man who has toxic masculinity. You don't believe me? Watch this video.
Tough piece of tape to listen to. It's a 17-year-old boy who passed away following a 911 call for help. The dispatcher hung up on the caller. The boy had been wounded during a drive-by shooting. As he lay there in distress, dying, a frantic woman who apparently knew the teen calls 911, tries to communicate to the dispatcher what's going on, what help she needs. She's obviously distressed, excited. Who wouldn't be? Listen to this.
Okay, is he not breathing? Barely. He's barely breathing. How many times have I told you? Okay, you know what, ma'am? You can deal with yourself. I'm not going to deal with this, okay? No, I can't.
So you let that young man pass away because your feelings was hurt. Because this girl cursed at you. That's what I be talking about when we get into the, you need men to express their feelings. No, you need a man to be about results. His feelings are secondary. I'm not saying that a man isn't supposed to have feelings or be able to express his feelings, but at some point, your feelings are not the most important thing. It's up to a man to be a problem solver. And instead of being a problem solver, he was like, oh, if you're going to curse at me, then he just hung up the phone and let somebody die. If he was masculine, he would have been like, I don't really care. His brain would have went, I don't really care for what she said, but let me get this done. That's how my brain would have worked. Hell, I would have cussed back. She would have been like, well, how many times I got to fucking tell you? I would have said, well, bitch, I didn't hear you the first time, but where are you so I can send you help? That's very simple. But letting somebody pass because your feelings is hurt is crazy. Crazy. And they only suspended the dude. He should be in jail because he's an accomplice. He helped whoever shot that boy, kill that boy. So that's how I feel about it. Toxic masculinity. I'm pro toxic masculinity. I'd rather him had cussed her out raggedy and still helped him than to act like the whole ass nigga he was acting like. Sorry. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. I'm about to.
All right. Were y'all able to hear that pretty good?
Yeah, especially towards the end.
Okay.
But it did have an echo.
It did. Okay. Well, I mean, I can replay it later. But yeah. So that's a more serious infraction, right? When it comes, I think, to masculinity and just making sure that we're taking care of business when it comes to, being men out here, right? Yeah. I'm gonna give you guys a little lighter version because I think that one's a little heavy. So I'll give you guys
I'm burdened right now.
I know, right? I would give you guys a little lighter version real quick, and then we're gonna hop into it. All right.
Can't wait.
All right, I think this is the one.
It's one of them ISO moments right here, baby. Bean in the fourth.
All right. Y'all see it? All right, let's go.
With manhood, man. We have to bring back manhood. Manhood has been crushed in the past 10 years. It's been crushed. Being a man has been this boogeyman thing going on. You understand? I'm not talking about being a man as in being an asshole, being a bully. No. Just manhood that my father taught me, that a lot of people's fathers taught me and uncles taught me and coaches taught me, stuff like that. Did you see this video of the guy at a concert? He has his phone on and he's like, I think he's doing a live, and there's a real pretty girl there at some festival, a real beautiful girl, and right next to him, and he's like, him and his friends are like, oh my God, TikTok, please help me, TikTok, help me. TikTok helped me talk to a girl that's right there. She's right fucking there. She's right there. She's right there. What is going on here? You're asking TikTok as if it's a person to go talk to a woman that's fucking 50 feet away from you. What is going on? Why didn't you at least, okay, check this out. Since you don't have the balls to go up to her as a man and say, hey, how you doing? You enjoying the festival? No. Why didn't you just include her instead of like recording her on the side, which is disrespectful? You could have said, hey, I'm on my live. What's up? Hey, isn't she beautiful? You could have done some shit like that. Because I know this is your, you whatever you guys call yourself, this is your way of doing things now. We got grown men sending emojis and shit. When women argue with you, they can't pick up the phone and just go, hey, yo, what's your problem? Now they'll send an emoji with tears or a melted face or eyeballs looking at you. Dumb shit like that. We got to bring back not putting a girl's phone number in your phone. Nah, getting a piece of paper and a pen and writing it down and memorizing that shit. That's what we did. We wrote it down, said, yo, let me get your number. You would write it on a leaf. You'd pull a leaf off a tree to get a girl's number. You wanted it so bad. Or write it on your hand. Or you'd fucking engrave it with blood if you wanted her. We need to get back to that old school shit. We got to retrain these people to be men. You understand where I'm coming from? That was embarrassing, bro. Embarrassing. We got to get back to human socialization, to human, feelings, to be able to interact. They need to reteach that. Social studies needs to be interactive. The fuck is going on here?
All right, fellas. So, how did we get here to this point? Like,
I'm open. I'm open.
Hey, look, man.
I'm open. And I've been practicing for this day. All right, the first things first I want to say is I blame men for this. And I'm just going to focus on our community. Don't get me wrong. There were a lot of factors that separated men from the household. So you have a generation of men who weren't raised by men. So therefore, as we make the joke on social media with the women, we losing recipes. A lot of recipes were lost within Black men on how to be men. Then you have the next generation of men who are great fathers, but came from households to where there wasn't a father around. So now they have to learn how to be fathers for the first time. So you may miss out on certain things teaching a young man X, Y, and Z, because back in the day, you had a granddad kind of help the younger father and then go on so forth. So we miss that. There's a lot of that I see out here, even with some of my partners who are great dads, but their father wasn't in their life. There's certain things I've seen in them growing up to where it's like, I could tell you were raised by a woman. And that's not a slight. It's a difference from being in a household raised, in most cases, raised with two parents versus one parent, whether it's just your dad. Like, hell, most of my life, I was raised by just my dad. So my wife will say often, I could tell you didn't grow up in a house of women. Not necessarily a slight. It's just you miss out on certain things. So going back to I'll start with the Godfrey video first. I do a 6 dinner with the 6 clubs in my chapter once a year. And I was telling them a story of how back in the day, especially when I was a teenager, how you had to have pen and paper in hand, had to go walk over to a girl. Everybody saw you walk over to this girl. Your boys is looking to either clown you or praise you if you got the number or didn't get the number. But you had to have like that dog in you to go over there and get the number. Stammer, scared, nervous as fuck. But you had to do it. Whether you got turned down or got the number, it built character. And you could build on that in so many other different situations. Like, I feel that part of the lack of, masculinity not being men is we don't have men teaching like they should. Then you have this fear of failure, to whereas back in the day, it's like, nah, you gotta take risks. This is what separates you from everybody else. You gotta build. This helps build your confidence. Cause shit, I can tell you right now. After, let's say, I won some, I lost some, get numbers. But after like the 4th or 5th no, in your mind's like, shit, I'm alive. Like, ain't nothing gonna happen. I'm gonna keep shooting my shot, and then that goes on to other areas. But I think we so fearful and, scared. Oh, I'm nervous. So it's like we try to protect people from the real world, especially men, which I fucking hate. Like, nah, little motherfucker got earning stripes. We ain't earning stripes no more, okay? We just expect shit to happen as opposed to falling on our fucking face and getting back up. And then when you fall, it's, oh, baby, let me help you get up. Nah, fuck that. Let that little nigga get up on his own. Let him learn how to walk. Let him learn how to fail. Let him learn how to succeed. We're coddling our young men. A lot of our black men, for sure, we're coddling these motherfuckers as opposed to holding them accountable. And I'm sorry. I could go on for another 10 minutes, but I'm gonna pass the ball.
Mikhail, I'm very interested to see what you think about where we're at.
Well, I mean, we are at a space that we've never been before in the history of man, primarily because we didn't have the things that we have in place right now. You know what I mean? Like this is no longer a hunt and kill society. So, that's where the quote unquote entitlement comes. Like you don't have to actually go out and get your food. It's pretty much served, for lack of a better phrase, right?
We calling old niggas too. I want that to be known.
Well, I'm gonna say this, that I don't know that any. I can only speak for our community. I can't speak for nobody else's community. I don't shop there. So I don't know what the stores look like. I don't know what the cashiers look like. I don't know none of what they do, right? So I can only speak about what I know. And what I know is it's not much coddling when it comes to our community because, frankly, we speak about each other the way you just spoke, Warren. Always. I don't know a time.
Agree to disagree.
No, I don't know a time. When I look at old footage, when I talk to older men, I don't know a period of time when they wouldn't call it another black man a pussy ass nigga. Like I don't know that time. But we didn't come up with the phrase, right? We learned it. Like we ain't never had it easy. So when you fast forward to right now, and these young folks out here, they're utilizing their tools. Now, it's, if anything, is our generation that has kind of propped them up to experience the world in a way that we didn't experience it. And so that's what we're recognizing. The adjustment is part of it is nature. The other part is environment.
No, I like the. I agree with you. There's an adjustment that occurred, right? Let's we got to call a spade a spade. I think we went into a space where and not just that, we have to address what's been going on, right? We were in a space. Men are black men experiencing depression, suicidal thoughts. There's a lot of pressure of being a black man in this society, this country, whatever the case may be, and there's a lot associated with that, right? And so there's this movement that happens. Let's talk about it. We need to talk it out. We need to have conversations. We need to be in touch with our vulnerable side. We need to we need to feel more. We need all of that. We've had all these conversations on this podcast, and I hear what you were saying, Warren. Coddling. There's been a little bit of coddling going on.
Excuse making,
and there may be some overcorrecting that is taking place. And so when I'm thinking about, because the goal when you're trying to cling, because I'm thinking about toxic masculinity. I'm not talking about masculinity because I know there's an air that we're talking about bringing back masculinity, but the reality is masculinity was never something we're trying to get rid of. It's the toxic portion that we're trying to get rid of, right? And that was the main crux and the main point of the conversation. But the thing about cleaning something is you can over clean.
Strip.
You can strip. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And so we went from the space where we were trying to get toxic masculinity out the door, and then we allowed, I would like to say the opposite of toxic masculinity would be I don't know.
Masculinity.
No. Actually, no, because we're talking about overdone.
Yeah.
If we were doing it equally, well, I'm talking about the overcorrected. Healthy masculinity would be true. However, now it's seeming like it's like I don't know, like it's like remedial masculinity. It's like it's like we've gone from like
you got to learn how to walk again.
Yeah. It's like now we've gone from like there was the toxic masculinity, which had the masculine components in there, but it was overdone, right? And then now that we've kind of tried to like bring it back and kind of straighten out, we kind of swerving a little bit, right? And we're moving into a space where the masculinity is become recessive in a way. Like if toxic is like, if we're thinking like cancer, it's like toxic is, it could kill you. This right here,
man, call these niggas soft.
Look, this right here wouldn't hurt a fucking fly. You know what I'm
saying? All right. So what I hear you saying, Sam, is that, and I do hear you, Warren. What I hear you saying, Sam, is we overcorrected. Now we're trying to correct before we go off the road.
Yes.
Basically. All right. So what I'm saying to you, Warren, is you don't have to insult anybody to correct them. And the problem is that our method of correction is humility, is humiliation. That's what I'm saying. While the reality is sometimes you overcorrect somebody that has never seen healthy masculinity. Like there's been nobody to model that behavior. Primarily because either a black man is at work and he's not at home and he has to come home to his mama, or the boy has to come back to his mom. Well, we can say both, men and women, because when they don't have an example of healthy masculinity, guess what ends up happening, right? They're both affected. So you have a child that doesn't have a good example of what healthy masculinity even looks like. They only have an example of either the dad going to work, the dad being harassed and arrested, or the dad got killed, or dad is in prison, or the mother and father could not get along and they're just not together, right? So that's a small percentage of men for everybody to pay attention to. And correcting them or overcorrecting them does not have to include humiliating them, because that turns people off. If you trying to humiliate me, I'm gonna be like, yo, fuck you. I'm not listening to you. And I'm gonna keep doing my thing. So how do we invite brothers in to a space where they be like, all right, well, what should I do? You know what I mean? If I'm going to work and I'm paying this, that, and the third, isn't that what a man's supposed to do? Sure. But there are other elements to being a man other than just paying the bills. Because when you pay the bills, you feel like you have a right to either claim that woman is yours, i.e. control her, or you feel like because you pay bills in here, nobody else has a voice. That's because that's what you've seen. And that's fucked up. And that's how we got here in the first place. And if you don't feel like you can talk about it, you stepping out. And now that's what back in the day when I was talking about how this shit is not new information. That's why you got cousins on the other side of town that you didn't know was your cousin. You know what I mean?
Don't do that. Well, a lot of people being raised it. Them fathers, same fathers, busting their ass, doing everything for their family, raising kids that ain't theirs.
So well, see what I'm saying, but
don't put it one sided.
No, it's not a one side. I'm just saying, like, this is how we got there. Like, when you think that there's only one way to be, when everybody's diverse, that's not even intelligence. And to me, you can't be a man if you ain't demonstrating some level of intelligence. That's just period, point blank.
But I think there's a need for like the thing about it is I think what happens is when we got off the rails, what we thought was manhood wasn't manhood when it came to the toxic masculinity, right?
Let me can I just have to interject.
Go ahead.
Because you're bringing up a great thing. So what was it that you think led to, okay, manhood isn't manhood as we know it, or this is considered toxic versus this is what masculinity is supposed to be? Who determined what masculinity is supposed to be?
Well, I think that's yeah, you give a science answer, but I'm gonna just give a
no, I want you to. That's
I think when we talk about masculinity, there's first of all, I would say men define masculinity. That's my I don't believe in anybody else coming for masculinity that's not a man. I feel like it's ours to uphold. It's ours to tweak and change if we need be. I never thought it was a good idea for women to be out here saying, "Oh, this is toxic." No, as men, we know our roles are in this existence that we have. And in certain spaces when we talk about, there's some innate things that we do as men. We protect from a psychological level, an emotional level, and a physical level. We are facilitators. We are natural leaders. We are there's some aspects of us. I think that when it comes to masculinity, that is just like there's innate abilities that come out. We're strong. Sometimes we can be a little bit emotionally. We put emotions after practicality sometimes and logic. There's a certain innate aspects of masculinity I think that are important, and that would be my definition. I'm not going to say it would be every man that you speak to would have the same exact definition of masculinity, but I think that's the wheelhouse that we're in when we're talking about what it means and what it's like to be masculine.
I respect it.
I didn't know you had a follow-up, Warren. So I'm trying
to my definition of masculinity is very simple. Protecting, providing, and caring, and loving, and building up your family. And then that spreads out to the community. Doing what's right, sacrificing for the betterment of your family and your community. That to me is ultimate masculinity.
That's my point. That 2 out of the 5 things that you listed in the top are the reason how we got off track, because we were not doing the loving and the caring part. That's how we even got down the path of how shit got toxic, because we didn't know how to love the women in our lives. We knew how to screw them, because, you can tell somebody how to screw, but how to love somebody in a way that when people saw it, they recognize it as love, and how to care. And to me, caring is about community. You know what I mean? But, what part are we playing in our community that demonstrates that? And that's how we got to this overcorrection, because everybody was trying to, black men, and I'm speaking again from our community because I don't know anybody else's, black men need to have a vocabulary, grow their emotional intelligence, this, that, and the third, which was all true. But because we were on a crash course, we had to focus on those things, and we lost sight of the other things that were part of our lives, that were part of us as men. Like, I always tell people before I even became a therapist, when I needed therapy as a way for healing, and I didn't know it, I discovered how mean-spirited I was. Well, being mean-spirited is right in line with assertiveness. It's right in line with showing strength, courage, and assertiveness. And I could do all those things, but I didn't know how to nurture and love a woman to a point where she's not afraid. She's more afraid of my mouth than anything else. So she's walking on eggshells with me. And if she's walking on eggshells with me, that's what make her work husband more appealing. And that's how shit get fucked up. I'm just keeping it real, right? So when we started to overcorrect that, we lost sight of these other things. Like what I was saying earlier, Sam, about the scientific definition of it all is like, we're here to protect, provide, and provision. Like that's our social construct. That's a social construct that was created before any of us were even born. And out of those three elements come everything else that you listed, Warren. Right? The provision piece actually touches on the loving and caring component, but we didn't learn that arm of it. Like the reason why I kind of jumped on how you were talking to humiliation, that doesn't demonstrate love, that doesn't demonstrate caring. That just demonstrates the aggressive and assertiveness component. That's where we comfortable at. I'm comfortable calling another black man, a bitch ass nigga. Why am I comfortable doing that? But I'm not comfortable telling, hey man, I love you.
Man, you know what?
I like doing both though.
Before you go though. See, when I heard you speaking, Mikhail, two things jumped into my head. Is survival and thriving, and the difference between the two.
That's right.
And the thing about it is, like, protection and providing very easily lands in the survival. Provision is the thriving aspect of it, right? Like when you start to give people what they need when they need it, giving them the love, the balance, the security that they need. That's not associated with who I can beat up, not associated with what guns I can shoot or whatever it may be, and that's the thriving aspect of it. When people see, I love the most about being a husband is when people see how happy my wife is, and how
that's why I was telling you I was proud of
how they can. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my bar for success when it comes to like how I feel about what it is I'm doing in my existence here. Now, when we talk about the surviving versus the thriving, when you think about Black men, we have been conditioned to survive for a better part of our existence here in this country. I don't know about anywhere else, but we're here in this country. We've been conditioned to survive, and it's crazy because I started, and I started thinking about the frat, like, because it's one of the things that it's a group of men. And whenever I start thinking about manhood and masculinity and the toxicness of it and all of that, for me, sometimes using a group of men is the best example that I have. And we got 4 cars, and manhood is one of the cardinal principles.
That's right.
For my fraternity. And you would think we didn't have 3 others based on
what you see
when you interact with the men in my fraternity.
That's right.
Because they everything is about being a man, to the point where the scholarship, the perseverance, the uplift is
performative.
Like, it's performative. Yeah. And so, and not to get too deep into it, but it's like when you get to the point where you put manhood in a box, everybody is reaching and forming the space to start to compete because it's a survival mechanism. It's like, okay, I gotta be the big dog. I gotta be I have to make it to the top of whatever the hierarchy is when it comes to whatever it is. And that comes from not feeling safe.
And that's absolutely right. Now, if you extend that beyond, say, the fraternity, and look at our communities. You got these little YNs running around here killing each other. I have to kill him or else I'm gonna get killed. Right? That is literally the nuts and bolts of it. But if they knew, how should I say this? If they So provision, let me back up. I'm gonna back up. Provision, like you said, Sam, is based on the ability to thrive. When you look at the definition of provision, provision is the ability to offer up whatever it is, resources that you have when it's needed. You have to know when somebody's hungry to feed them. You have to know when somebody is cold to provide a coat, right? You have to know how to have conflict resolution. So when to bring peace, when to bring war, right? Like it has to be a place of intelligence to be able to have provision. Like there's no other way to be a provisioner. Like you can't be dumb as hell and divide up the resources so that everybody's thriving, the way you said, Sam. So when you think about it, if you stay in a constant state of survival, everybody is a threat to you. Even your own men, you know, that you run with is a threat to you. Mm-hmm. Or at least that's how you see them. And when you perceive somebody as a threat, what do you do about it?
I was taught to take them out.
That's right. That's called protection. That's the other two components is provide, protect, and provision. So at this point, you're in a protect mode. It's easy to figure that out, but nobody's using intelligence. How do we have conflict resolution? How about you and I work together? Maybe we can pool our resources, and from those resources, something else can be grown. Like this extends across economics. It extends across spirituality. It extends across our families. When I talk about social economics, this is what I'm talking about: the ability to pool resources and provision what our community needs. Go
ahead, Warren.
I mean, and I agree with everything you're saying. And I'm going to bring this moment up to where as a man, I just apologize to women. When the Me Too movement came out and came upon us, and a lot of women that I knew shared stories. Now, I knew some men wasn't shit, but I didn't know the severity of it until women started telling their stories, like going in, you know, and it just wasn't like it was a common occurrence. I thought, you know, some of the shit I was hearing, like, oh, this is like once in a lifetime such shit. And, you know, man was doing a lot of shit a lot more often. And I bring that up because I hear what you're saying about the humiliating and shaming, but I do feel like certain acts and certain things done by men need to be humiliated. They need to be shamed. They need to be ostracized. And in some cases, excommunicated to whereas there is an established rule of order to where this is what we stand about. These are the things that we build upon. Because when I go back to when I say that people are being coddled and X, Y, and Z, it's because it's like when niggas do fucked up shit, and you can say from women too, but we talking about the men right now. It's like, well, this happened in his life, that happened in his life. I'm watching shows and movies to whereas men and women are doing the most fucked up things, but let's get the backstory to why this person is the way he is or she is. And I'm like, okay, let's say for those who can't afford it, and a good number of them, there are so many different ways to where, because I have some friends that I love and care about to whereas need therapy, should go seek therapy, are not like this poor person over here who doesn't have access to the help. And you're telling them, hey, man, do this, do that, making the same mistakes, doing this. It's just like, no, we need to hold these people accountable for their actions as opposed to just like, oh, man, I feel so bad for them. No. Some of these men are in positions to get the help that they need. They have the resources and they're not doing it. And part of the reason why I love this podcast. And we have to hold these men accountable by whatever measure needs to be done. Because back in the day, measures were taken to whereas we don't fuck with those type of people like that. And if you're moving like that, yes, you're a bitch ass nigga. And I do feel like that should be come back in certain areas.
Well, I'll say this. In listening to what you're saying, Warren, what I've noticed, and you talk about what's funny about back in the day, this is my thing about back in the day, is what gave you the bitch ass nigga role back in the day wasn't the shit that you just talked about, like men out here raping and beating and doing all that to women, because those type of dudes thrived back then. You talking about thrive? A lot of dudes, like, no, for instance, my father, like it's crazy because when I get older, when you get older, when you're little, you don't think about shit like that, right? But my father kept all his friends. He was beating my mama. They all knew it. You know what I'm saying? My father would play dominoes on the weekend with his friends. I'd see him at church, and they were, they would act like they not cool with him, but then I'd pull up at their house and his car would be there. You feel me? And what I'm saying is, it was the quote unquote weak men that was being called bitch ass niggas. It was the ones that weren't necessarily a part of what would be the toxic culture.
It would be the ones getting chomped off.
Yeah, they the ones that's like, that's that bitch over there. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that every once in a while there wouldn't be a outlier. But what I'm saying is, there's a lot more of that going on, and a lot of men that were still a part of the nucleus of what you consider manhood, even though they were participating in those activities that you're saying.
I guess I grew up in a different culture, because that was those men. Shit, even my father.
Well, your dad was a military guy.
Like those men were ostracized in a way and held accountable for doing those. Not saying all of them.
Wasn't your dad in the military?
Yeah.
So there's an honor code, right, that they have to follow. There's a morality clause. Like, if somebody's doing some bullshit, they got to be held accountable. Like, you couldn't have kids and not be making child support payments and you in the military. Like, it's like straight up, like, you gonna take care of yours. Like, there was a code that goes along. So yeah, you came up in a different environment. But for the most part, the men that you're describing now have what they call consequences. Like, it's not even about humility. It is punishment. Like, knowing someone's backstory does not excuse the behavior. Knowing someone's backstory is how you learn how not to have that repeat itself. It's kind of like learning a history. So that's the whole point of learning somebody's backstory. It's not to be soft on them because this is what happened to them. It's like, how do we make sure this doesn't happen to another person? That they don't have a similar situation. What can we put in place that makes sure that children have a safe space when they get so they don't get traumatized the way this one did? Because look how they turned out. And that's what has to be the separation in terms of how we talk about it. Like, I think at the end of the day, men have to learn how to be provisionaries. We have to learn how to just understand our limitations, understand what we have as strengths, and how to utilize those things. Like, with my kids, I played music, I played sports. I didn't try to coach my son. I didn't try to teach my kids music. I just put them in front of it because they said they were interested in it. That is me provisioning love and space for them to grow, instead of me trying to, no, you play the chord progression like this. No, you throw the ball like that. You're running like a sissy. Yeah, like that type of shit. I don't need them to see their dad as. Right? I need for them to see me as a safe space, a protected space, a space they can be vulnerable with. And then I hold my masculinity in that space. Because that's really what we're supposed to do. We are the cornerstones to our families.
So, may I ask, do you believe in tough love?
I don't even know what the fuck that is. I'm just be honest with you. If love is love. Ain't no.
But I think you can show love in different ways.
I'm saying love is love. How you show it is preferential, meaning individualized. Like, let me just make it graphic, since we all men here. Some women like to be choked. Some women like to have their hair pulled. Some women just like to be held. It's all fucking right. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying to you. Like, when you say tough love, what the hell does that even look like? What I'm saying is, you need to understand, this is the intelligence piece of it, who you're dealing with. Come to them in the spirit of love. understand what their love language is, meaning how they hear and can utilize what you have constructively, versus it being a space that causes them to, kind of cower into a traumatized space. And with children, words are everything. Mm-hmm. It ain't the ass whooping, it's the words, man. It's what you say to kids, because they don't have any identity. So when you say, they don't have any other identity than their family. So when you say to them, you dumb, you stupid, you lazy, you need your ass whooped, you need this, that, and that's your common language, they are intellectualizing that to meaning that I must be this. So when they go amongst their peers, they're looking at their peers smiling and laughing, and they hate it because they want to feel like that. And that's what make the bully. You understand? Like, this is the shit that I'm talking about. Like, we have to be in a space where we know our audience and be able to intelligently provision how we're supposed to be talking to them. That's what should be happening. But very rarely does it happen. I didn't start doing that till I was like 37 years old.
I mean, a lot of people don't know how, they don't have the tools to communicate how or understand somebody else's life. Now, mind you, I want the audience to know, when I'm talking to, let's say, my neos, my nieces, I'm not rah-rah all the time. In most cases, I'm talking all right now. Not because, I mean, I do feel like there are certain instances where I kind of gotta make it like a show to where they understand like the severity of the situation. Because sometimes when you're talking to somebody in the same tone every time, the message may not be heard. But if you know, hell, I'll let y'all embassy with my wife. Let's say I've never called her out her name, never will do anything like that. But there was an instance to whereas she did something that I felt was out of pocket. But in her mind, she didn't see anything to it. And it was while my nieces were here. So I pulled her in the room where the nieces was at. And I was like, man, don't ever do this again. And I said it with a tone. And she said to me, she's like, I mean, we usually talk. You didn't have to come at me this way. And I said, Whitney, you should know me by now. You know I come to you chill majority of the time. I come to majority of my people when I have an issue majority of the time. But when it's something severe, to whereas, yo, if we have to have this conversation again, you know where I stand. So if you cross that line, and I'm not talking about just my wife, just anybody in general, like if you cross that line, you said to me, hey, this is a declaration of war right here, because there's certain things to where it's like, I'm not budging against. I like, and it's only a few things. Now to the audience, if everything sets you off, you really need some help. But there's some things to where it's like, no, I'm not going for this. And if you're going for it, I want you to know where I stand. So if, Warren's acting different, you know why the nigga acting different. But go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I would like to kind of take a step back and also really address how to bring the conversation of baseline masculinity back into the conversation. Mm-hmm. Meaning these two examples that we started with, there's clearly there's an over emotional man. And I say over emotional because he clearly is not taking the severity of the situation into account. And he's put his emotions above life and death. And we can't do that. Like, that's it. That is, for me, and I agree with Ryan in that space. I don't believe it. I don't agree with bringing toxic back. But I think Ryan thinks that if there was a toxic masculine man on the side of that phone, he wouldn't have, that person wouldn't have hung up the phone. They probably would have been offended, but their first presence of mind would have been to, let's just say these person, I'll cuss this bitch out later, right? Whatever. And then you got these guys who clearly are not in a space where they either feel confident approaching a woman or are
chasing clout. That was chasing clout.
Or chasing clout. That was the other aspect of it.
It could have been both.
And it could have been both. Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
All the above.
because both are in that anti-masculine space. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like the need and the desire to chase the clout, which is something I'm seeing a lot in this newer generation, is it's alarming because there's a sense of masculine. Let me take a step back. Masculinity and femininity is a part of a real live lived experience, and a part of being a man is dealing with, when Warren was talking about getting that number, having that conversation, having those interactions, that's a part of the real lived experience. They are stripping themselves away from a true masculine experience when they go to TikTok. You're literally taking away something that is it's a part of essence of being a man, approaching a woman, having the conversation, being present, meaning being present in the moment, not looking for other people to validate you. That is a part of a masculine experience that I think that they're taking away from themselves. And
we got to be careful because I think we're kind of painting masculinity in a way that is not truly measured by how our society is measuring masculinity across all age groups, and that's not necessarily the right approach. You feel what I'm saying? Like, here these young cats are at this concert. I don't know if they 20, 22, 25. Mm-hmm. I couldn't really see.
Yeah, they're probably in their early to mid 20s.
Right. So, we're talking about a space where most, like, biologically, you don't stop developing brain-wise executive function until you're 25. Immaturity or maturity plays a major part in how you emote masculinity. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like as you matriculate through life, the desire to protect comes first. So you may have a brother and a sister, and he gonna protect his little sister, or the young man that wants to protect his mother from an abusive, lover. Like the element of a young man to want to protect is the first thing that shows up. So it's either gonna be him being afraid, right, and running, how Will Smith talked about his life, or it's gonna be him protecting and showing up in a way that makes him feel like he's doing what he needs to do. The next thing will be provide. So if you talk to some of these young brothers out here in these streets, they out there, they trying to provide for their house. Yeah. At the same time, they protect it. Provision does not come until later in maturity. And I think that's what I mean by understanding the audience and what the consequence should be, Warren. Like, it's really about us on this side of manhood being able to recognize what this young man needs. Is it going to be consequences where you humiliate him? Is it going to be a moment where you pull him to the side and say, hey, this is how you holler at a girl? You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. Like, at what point do the men that those of us that feel like we're men and that we have a masculine element, when do we step in and help mature these younger brothers? Because I know some people that are in their 40s and emotionally they 16.
I can concur with that statement.
I mean,
what do you think, Sam?
I get what you're saying about maturity. I'm there with you. I'm not even off that. But I gotta ask myself, it's like, okay, mid-20s.
I was gonna let it rock.
Let me say this. Look, I'm saying that literally is the age where you learn the provision piece. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, you have everything. You're supposed to have everything, all the tools you're supposed to have By the time you reach 25, 26, you should have. If you don't, I'm going to ask the brothers that are older than them to go back and be like, yo,
who raised this nigga?
And that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't want to pass by it with just a maturity piece, because I think by that point, what I'm saying is, by that point in life, for instance, let me give you an example. The other day, I gave my homeboy some tickets to a game. And he called me. He was like, man, he was like, I wasn't able to get the tickets to the game, but I was, I gave the tickets to somebody else. And it blessed him. It was great for them. He's like, I wish we could have blew it up and done a social media thing, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, bro, I'm not interested in that. I gave you the tickets in real life so that you can be blessed with your kids and go to the game in real life. And now that you're calling me, telling me this person enjoyed it in real life, I'm happy in real life. Right. You get what I'm saying? And those young men are in a space where they are literally in a real space with this young lady, and they're robbing themselves of the opportunity in real life. And I'm not saying it's not immaturity, but I'm saying it's a lack of masculinity. It is the opposite of toxic masculinity. It's literally the recessive masculinity. It is
I have to shoot them some bell, because as we talk about toxic,
you got to scoot them some what?
I said I'm gonna shoot them some bell.
Give him some bail money.
Yeah, because we have to think about going back on the toxic masculinity topic. You have a lot of young men who have been taught by a lot of women saying, well, we don't like men approaching us X, Y, and Z. And mind you, certain things that have been taught by some of our sisters, I believe, was in good taste, but the messaging wasn't clear. Because I have conversation with young brothers about X, Y, and Z, or we all hear it, men aren't men anymore, and I'm like, well, you said this, so now these boys is moving like that. So it's like, so when I joke with my wife often, where it's like, some toxic masculinity is needed for the world. As much as y'all hate to say it, but when y'all talk to me, when I talk with my women friends and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, y'all getting the men y'all told us y'all wanted. Y'all just don't like it. Nah, baby, you got to understand. When you describe a man in a certain way, there has to be balance. Because if he's all the way over here, you're not going to get some of these things over there. If he's all the way over there, you're not going to get some of the things you want. There has to be balance.
Well, I will agree with you, but I think I think that there's a definition issue that whenever we get into the conversation about masculinity, the definition and the bar when it comes to masculinity is never really, it's not clearly as defined as it needs to be. For instance, you'll say, for instance, assertiveness. That should be a regular masculine trait. That should not be something that we should be we should put in the back burner or tuck away because people are talking about toxic men, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if a woman doesn't like my assertiveness, that's okay. She's not the woman for me. You get what I'm saying? We have to teach men that that is a baseline thing you should have. You should be able to assert yourself. You should be able to speak to women. Now, you shouldn't be asserting yourself to the point where you are intruding on that woman's autonomy and her ability to be,
also known as misogyny.
Exactly. You shouldn't be imposing yourself upon her. But it's okay to assert yourself in a way to say, hey, look, sweetheart, you look good. I would like to, get your number, whatever. And that's the most she can say is yes, no, or fuck. She can even cuss you out. It don't even matter. The point is,
she should go home. She should be able to go home no matter what.
Exactly. She should be able to go home.
Man.
And she should still be able to be comfortable, just like you should be able to be comfortable leaving with your L or your W. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And that for me is we cannot negotiate the baseline manhood principles, attributes for the sake of what women want. I'm just being honest with you. Like, even for the sake of what women want, you just adjust. It's like, you don't like men coming up to, she don't like men coming up to her. The minute she say, no, don't come up to me, guess what I do? I'm gone. Like, it's okay. But it's okay to assert yourself as a man, though. And I would say I would not, if I was talking to the young brother, I would say, look, man, and I've actually done this, to be honest with you. I've been to parties. Now, I'll be in parties and I'm looking at everybody looking at their phones. I'm like, bro, these women are here to be with you. You get what I'm saying? Like, your job is not to be with your job.
Parenting moment.
Yeah, it's a parenting moment. But what I was saying is, your job is not to be, on your phone. Your job is to be with them. Is to exist in a space with them. That's the part of learning to be a masculine man. And that's it sounds crazy because it seems simple, right? You're at a party, the point
talk
of
to the women.
Talk to the right. But sometimes you have to show them the point. I have like little cousins, and when I party with them, I'm like, no, y'all need to go spend time with the women. Go talk to them. And they'll say, man, look, I love hanging with Sam because he's gonna create the environment. I'm like, no, I'm not creating the environment. The environment is already there.
Right. I'm just helping you be present.
I'm helping you be present in the environment so that you can understand there's things you could take advantage of in this situation. It could be a benefit to you.
I'm gonna tell you how global that statement is, because not only did this young man in the Godfrey clip, not only did he not approach the woman, and he went to TikTok to ask for them to find out who she is, I guess so he could follow her on TikTok, but he's also at a concert that he paid to get into, so he's not even present for the concert. The only thing he's present for is that fucking app.
TikTok. Yep.
The TikTok.
I mean,
so
he was present enough to know she was bad as hell, though. So I give him that.
But I'm saying, but to that point, he went to TikTok for it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. If you're gonna be at a show and I see somebody bad at the show and I'm on the hunt, let me just say this, and this is to anybody that we may be modeling our conversation, right?
Talk to him, Mikhail.
For me, it was a game. It was taking the shot. I missed the shot. You can't hit a shot if you don't take it. And I had W's and I had L's.
Talk to them niggas, Mikhail.
You know what I mean? And it was, but it was
I know.
That's part of my makeup. That's what it was. You know what I mean? Like, if she said no, all right, cool. Because when she see me again, I'm gonna be with a W, and then she gonna be jealous, and I can go back and get the layup. But that's another story.
Talk to them niggas.
At the end
this
of the
ain't
day,
therapist Mikhail talking right now. This goddamn making Mikhail talking right now.
It's stupid, but
it's stupid as hell. I'm just saying, like, it's almost like they've taken the fun out of being a man.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, if you ask a man, all right, if you can come back and be born again, would you want to be a man or a woman? What do men say?
A man.
A man. Yeah.
As hard as it is, as hard as we say it is,
I come back I would not come back a woman.
And so that's kind of my point, is like, when I mention maturity, I mean maturation, the ability to really get to a space where you're comfortable in who you are. Like, part of the issue is, what makes it toxic is that men that don't know who the fuck they are take these attributes and become what they think they're supposed to be based on these attributes that are out there. Like, we mentioned fraternities earlier, right? We all a member of a fraternity, and all of us, we all can point to a member that has become the super version of what they think is their org, right? And it's toxic. It's like, oh god,
it is, yeah.
And that's what I'm
super
saying.
Nukes.
So you understand what I'm talking about, the bros or whatever. And then you go out there into the real world, And you'll see the same thing. We talk about Black Republicans. They almost forget that they Black. The way they talk. You know what I mean? And so that's why they end up being ostracized to some degree, because you don't even talk like a brother that's down with the community. You sit there and you extrapolate these points, but it's the way you saying it. It's like you got the hard R in there.
Yeah, they ain't got the love in it. They ain't got the love in it.
So it's okay to ostracize them, huh?
Yeah. No. I said what I said is what I said. It makes you feel like they're not part of it, like because they have morphed into a toxic version of themselves, and that was based on the tenets of their organization. Like conservatives actually believe non-conservatives, they think they work hard and they think everybody else is lazy. Now, what does that message sound like?
I mean, it's craziness because it doesn't fit the narrative of everybody goes to work. Majority of people in this country have a job, and the lower you get paid, the harder the work is. Right. The lower money you make, the harder the work is.
But I'm saying that's my point. So people, they take on the tenets of whatever the title that they have. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. That's what happens, is that they just go too far. And it's because they don't have their own identity. What I was expressing earlier is that my confidence came from my approach. You know who taught me how to holler at women?
Who that?
Talk to me.
It wasn't a man. It was my sister.
Shout out.
But she pointed me to a man. And she said, what you need to do, I'm going to give you this record. I'm going to give you this tape. And I want you to go down and write down the words to these love songs. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And she says, when you find a girl that you like, use these words, use this vocabulary when you talk to them. Don't be afraid to use it.
And then see her walk down the street and go, take my house, my car.
Just for one moment with
have it all.
Exactly.
Who was that artist? Artist? I got it.
That's
Jodeci, bro.
No, I'm talking about that was the artist.
The artist she pointed me to was Luther Vandross. It was Luther Vandross, and it was Gap Band. So the Luther is the one that put me on.
He said, hey baby, come turn my house into a home, baby.
There you go. But he taught me metaphors.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So now
now you got bars.
And now I got bars, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like you take the direction that you need, and you perfect it, and that's all that really needs to happen. Like everybody ain't got to be a bitch ass nigga, but if you're not taking the time to learn your craft, you a sucker. You playing yourself, and everybody that you pull into your circle, because you can't protect them. You can't provide for them, and you definitely can't provision, because you ain't who you supposed to be. You fake. You fake, man. And that's what it boils down to for me. That's when I meet certain bros, or when I meet men in general, I can feel whether they full of shit or not, based on my barometer of what I recognize on what a man is. And it's like I don't ostracize them, Warren, like you think I do. What I tend to do, and Sam will say, like I tend to talk to everybody.
He does.
I talk to him. I make him.
You don't ostracize. I ostracize. I do.
See, and I think this is the thing. Like Mikhail, his version of building the men up is like, and this is the reality, because I always say it's like it's a social mind fuck. Like when the minute he notices that you are off your shit as a man, Mikhail goes into this like, all right, let's talk about that then. We had a conversation with this guy who didn't want to be in his child's life, and Mikhail's like, did you grow up with your daddy? It's like, yeah. It's like, you love your daddy? It's like, yeah. So you want to rob this guy of the same feeling that you love so much? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And at that point, buddy, down, he caught with his pants down. It just sounds, you starting to sound dumb. You know what I'm saying? You start to feel. I think in that instance, and that's the thing about masculinity, when an unmasculine man meets a masculine man, it's almost like that Cat Williams Chrysler 300 Phantom joke. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, you know, every man looks like a man until a real man shows up. You get what I'm saying? And that's the essence of, I think, what we need to kind of fix this, if you want to be honest with it.
Right.
It's about, because even with the toxic men, you know, real men need to show up in that space. But for these benign men, or whatever we call them, I don't know what
that's a good word.
But for these benign masculine men, I would say, like, we have to show up for them as well, right? Because we can't, you know, they for whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? I have empathy for them, because I was raised by a woman. You know, I didn't have a lot of, I had male influences, but ultimately I was raised by a woman. And every aspect of manhood I had to pick up along the way. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. There were times in my life where I thought I was a man until I met a man, and he was just like, yeah, your daddy ain't in your life. Like, literally within 5 minutes of meeting me. And I was like, yo, what the, like, I ain't say shit, but I felt it, right? And he told me, it's like, yeah, you didn't look at me in my eye once. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, like I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I didn't take it as in like I was you know, like he was disrespecting me. But in that instance, just like I was talking about with
I mean, you could have, because you were more mature.
I was more mature. And the thing about, and also thing about being a man is understanding where you lack as well.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? Understanding what you don't have. You get what I'm saying? And so when he was saying that, there were men would be like, "Fuck, nigga, who you think you're talking to?" You know what I'm saying? No, but in that instance, he knew, because of the way I came to him, the way I was presenting myself, however we talked, whatever it was, if it was emotions that were coming out, whatever it was, he could tell, and he was spot on. And so all I could do was accept it and say, okay, maybe there's somebody I need to think about in that space. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's what we need to do. We have to show up as authentic men in these situations, because I got younger cousins that, you know, I noticed do the same type of stuff. And I'm like, bro, get off your phone, go talk to her.
All right.
You get what I'm saying? There are dudes that will go to a party, see somebody they follow, and they're going to DM them and not talk to them in the space. You know?
Weak.
Bro, I talk to women all the time. It's just like, you know, yeah, these dudes, if it ain't in social media, they're not going to speak. And we could call it weak, but we got to show up for them. We got to show up for them, because
can we do both?
We already.
Well, I mean, the question is, do we need to point out what's already been pointed out? Do we need to point out what's already been pointed out versus bringing something new to the conversation? Like it's, you know, you go to the gym to get stronger. You don't go to the gym to be reminded of when you were weaker. So I think it's just an opportunity to just present some challenges. Like, if I was in Sam's position with cousins, I'd be like, all right, bro, we gonna do this tonight. You got to have at least 5 L's and 2 wins.
Yes.
Like, put the challenge out there.
I'm telling you,
but that's assertive. Go ahead.
Me and my cousin went to Clave. Guess what I told him? Hey, we going in here. I expect you. He's younger. I was like, I don't care if you're younger. I expect you to go in here, interact, put in some work, and you need to bring 2 or 3 women back to the house just for fun. Just see if you can.
Get them to drop your ass off. But I can.
I told him, I said, get kidnapped. I don't care. It doesn't matter how you go about it. Like,
the bros left me. Can you drop me off? Y'all want something to drink? Y'all want to come in? I got some ribs and some chicken inside. Like, you see that just off my dome, and I ain't been in the streets. How long? Like,
been a long time. But what I was trying to do, sharpen his skills. Sharpen your skills. You got to be able to work them, man. But yeah, that's ultimately. With that being said, there was a more serious video, and before we wrap, I do want to address this more serious video.
Okay.
A lack of masculinity is just as dangerous as toxic masculinity.
The absence of masculinity.
The absence of masculinity is just as dangerous as toxic masculinity. And I think that was displayed in that interaction, but it's also displayed in our communities. You know, where you talk about children and women don't feel safe. When, I've seen videos, man, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like white men will not let you go into their communities and beat on their women. They will not let you do it. I've seen too many instances where we think twice when it comes to our own. Not to say that we don't defend them. I'm just saying sometimes we're a little slow to think about it. And I just would like for us to really, really think about how we show up when it comes to just being masculine in our respective areas, and how we show up for our people, not just women, but our kids, our communities. We're in most need. And so the men that are here, I always tell people, do you got one? Because everybody's, there's this idea that sometimes you got to have a whole bunch. We all feel like we got to do it all. I just be asking, like, look, do you got one that you mentor, bring up, give the game to? Well, just one. I'm not even, I've said that to my brothers, my cousins, everybody. Get you one. That'd be my challenge to men out here who feel as if they're, are secure with their masculinity. Mm-hmm. Find you one.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I'm over here in chaos with myself on whether I should say this or not. But before we break, I definitely want to, put out there that I think one of our problems is that we're not willing to die for anything. Like, we're willing to kill, but we're not willing to die for it. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, there's nothing, if I'm brought to the point where I'm willing to take a life, that must mean something important to me is happening, and I'm willing to stand there and die.
Are you saying a cause or for a person? I just want to be specific.
I want to be clear. It's both. I don't, it's one and the same. It's something I believe in. Like, for example, man, when you watch these videos and people busting off shots and shit like that, like, it don't be for something that they want to stick, that they willing to die for. It's just something that they willing to kill for. Because if they willing to die, why they running? Like, it wouldn't be pop, 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 run, jump in the car, speed off. Like, if you're willing to escalate to violence, it surely is something you're willing to die about, right? And if the answer is no, then don't escalate to killing. Like, that's the difference between the community, Sam. And, when I was in this process of prepping, like, I was getting into my prepper phase, whatever, and I watched a bunch of videos and stuff like that, and I didn't tell the complete truth. I've had some peer review into the other communities through this preparation process.
Yeah.
And that was one of the tenets that they teach their children.
You gotta be ready to die.
And ready to kill at the same time. At the same time. Like, whatever it is that's happening, that's why, unfortunate, but unfortunate. That's why they have, like, when they had these shootings and then they're killing themselves, because they were willing to die for it. Or they get in a shootout with the cop. They don't surrender. They were willing to die for it. While that is incredibly insane, that structure or that construct is what helps manage what happens in their community. We've done it all. We do murder, suicide. We do drive-bys. We do all these things that ain't got nothing to do with being a man. And it's insane. We're here to protect our communities. We're here to provide for our communities. We exist to provision for our communities, not just our families, but the communities that where our families live are supposed to be safe havens, especially Black men. If you think I'm lying, read the book Deacons of Defense. You know, we're supposed to be in church. We're supposed to use church as a forward operating base, FOB for the military people out there, the brothers in the military. That's what we're supposed to be. Our church is supposed to be our FOB. It's supposed to be the conduit in which everything happens. But we don't use it.
Well, we've gotten away from it, right?
Like
we've gotten away from it, and maybe because I've wrestled with this a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I've wrestled with the idea of being ready to die behind your community. You know, right. It really is. That's really what it is. You know, because at the end of the day, that is when we're talking about masculinity. That is when we talk about the protection piece, provision piece, you know, providing piece. If you wrap all of those together in one space, that's your life. You get what I'm saying? Like as a man, that is your life. And I know I'm ready to do it behind mine, right? But but it's the definition of mine that I think that bothers everybody. Like I think what mine used to be is my block, my people that look like me, people that care. And now it's just like, yeah, this is my house. And that's why I was saying we got to get one. We have to start getting outside. Yeah, I have my own children. I'm raising them fine. I'm raising them fine. But there's somebody out there that needs me to tap into theirs. You know, because we know what our homes look like still. We're working on it. We're work in progress. But at the same time, we know that there's still young men out there that are unfathered with no male role models. They're the ones that are growing up thinking that masculinity is either, you know, the just benign masculinity or the toxic masculinity. And we talked about it. Both of those are dangerous.
All right.
Both of those are dangerous.
I just want to say to the lovely audience, there are many forms of masculinity, but to me, the most important is taking care of family and community. Like when I was younger, I'd be straight up honest with you. I thought fucking women, getting a whole bunch of women was like one of the top forms of masculinity. When in actuality, you know, I remember my brother broke it down. I don't mean shit. Like, what are you doing for somebody else? What are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for your sister, your brother, your people? Like, that is where real manhood comes from. Giving back, not just thinking about yourself. Sacrifice, dedicate yourself to something bigger than you. I always go back to the Black Panther Party. To me, is one of the biggest representation of what it looks like to be willing to give and die for your community.
And they did.
Man, I appreciate the fact that this conversation actually went to a place that I feel like is needed. I think that's when we're talking about masculinity and Black masculinity and bringing it back and actually, you know, doing it the way it needs to be done is it really boils down to a bigger conversation. We gave the two scenarios. One was life and death. The other one just hollering at a chick. But ultimately, you know, the need for masculinity is still pervasive. And the reason we wanted to take away the toxic masculinity is to get to a point where we have a community that is rooted in real masculinity. And real masculinity is making sure that our communities are strong. You get what I'm saying? Making sure our communities are well put together, making sure they're well taken care of. And I think that even though we've overcorrected, we can still continue to have conversations to build that back up.
Yeah, we ain't scared it off the road yet, but we definitely kind of like
I mean,
then turn the wheel into the skid. Turn to the skid. Straighten back up.
I mean, we gotta straighten back up because I mean, it's scary to think that men like those men will eventually have children, and they have to they gonna have to raise those children, and who knows if they're gonna go to TikTok first when someone's breaking into their home, or they gonna be ready
TikTok. Somebody's breaking in my house. What should I do? Well, don't call 911. They're gonna hang up on your ass if you're talking right.
Let's be real. How many videos do we see where shit is going down and nobody's doing anything? You know,
all the time.
And it's happening more and more. And that is a breakdown that is benign masculinity. That is not toxic. That is a lack in an absence of masculinity. Look, if you're listening to this, man, I would love to know what y'all think about it. Please interact with us. Let us know how you feel about what we discussed today. For more conversations like these, please follow us. You Good Bruh Podcast on Facebook. You Good Bruh Podcast on Instagram. You Good Bruh YG Bruh Pod on Twitter. Yep. I am Sam Dupe. Let me get this off. Sorry. I'm Sam Dupe, and I'm good.
Hey, I'm Tel McKell, and I'm good.
I'm Warren P, and I'm good.
And just like that, we are out.
Peace.